mountain wildfire worries.
Dry fuels in the ground aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
And March smashes heat records in the U.S. As the Masters tees off today, we'll look at the close connection between golf and weather.
The temperature can make a big difference in how far the ball travels.
Climate.
Time is of the essence as we battle these rising tides.
And meet a meteorologist who keeps tournaments on track.
They like to suspend play an hour before any storms are going to arrive.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. More rain is expected to fall in Florida today, one day after flooding hit the South Atlantic coast. Several towns saw record or near record rainfall on Wednesday. That includes Vero Beach, which broke its daily record with nearly 3 inches of rain. That left these fire trucks sitting on a water-covered road. In other places, drivers tried to navigate through flooded roads with another 1 to 2 inches of rain possible today. There could be even more flooding. Conditions will improve tomorrow and a much drier pattern moves in over the weekend. And in Michigan, folks are keeping a close eye on the Grand River near Grand Rapids. It surged past flood stage on Wednesday, flooding about 100 homes. Abigail Taylor has details from Comstock Park.
See that water just beyond that shrub? That's the Grand River, and where it's usually at, a beautiful place to live, locals say, except for every few years when it might do this.
The river here has blown past its 12-foot flood stage. According to Kent County Emergency Management, Wednesday, at its crest, hitting 15.4 feet. This NOAA graph shows its peak and that it's expected to drop in coming days. This is classified as moderate flooding, a level where basements are expected to flood, and neighbors say many are here along a Brigador Trail, one of many roads in the area closed. Kent County Emergency Management urging people not to drive through flooded roads.
So what do you do if your house is in the flood zone? We asked locals and they say that this is just part of life and they're prepared for it. So anytime a flood alert is issued, they know to park their vehicles down the street just like this. And then they say to get back and forth from home to their car. Almost everyone has either a kayak or a boat to do just that.
The good news is at this point, the river is expected to begin falling, dropping below flood stage by early Sunday afternoon, if there isn't too much more rain.
There is a threat of severe weather today in the plains. The Storm Prediction Center issuing a level 2 out of 5 risk in northeastern Kansas, including Topeka. Cities like Kansas City, Lincoln, and Amarillo should also be aware of possible storms. So severe thunderstorms could bring very large hail and strong wind gusts as well. The nation continues to shatter heat records. Not only was it the hottest March on record, but NOAA says the U.S. just experienced its most abnormally hot month in 132 years of record keeping. The month's average temperature was nearly 51 degrees, more than 9 degrees above the 20th century norm for March. This was mostly driven by a record heat wave that sat over the western U.S. for more than a week. The records come on the heels of what was the worst snow record year and the hottest winter on record. South Carolina is dealing with those dry conditions. That state is seeing critical fire conditions as well. Webb Wright has more.
These conditions put first responders on alert, even where there are burning bans, like on the Isle of Palms, and the slightest spark can cause trouble.
If we're out chasing fires that are started from somebody who wasn't supposed to be burning, that keeps us from responding to our other calls on the island.
March was the second driest month since 2004, with current drought conditions the worst since 2013.
Deterioration of conditions that include low relative humidity, higher winds and gusts, and dry conditions. Dry fuels in the ground aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We're not going to have any rain anytime soon. But relative humidity has everything to do with fires igniting.
The South Carolina Forestry Commission can issue controlled burns to alleviate the problem.
Prescribed burning is done by experienced, most often professionals, who have some pretty significant training in fire behavior, fire weather, smoke management guidelines.
And while a red flag alert isn't a burning ban, there are still rules when it comes to burning, regardless of any alert or ban.
It's state law that you have to notify the Forestry Commission before doing so. You have to take the proper precautions. You have to know your fuel loads, weather, ventilation rate. It's a pretty significant process to even get a burn approved.
Wildfires are already burning in North Carolina. The Looking Glass fire broke out in the Pisgah National Forest, sparked by a downed power line. As of Wednesday, it had burned 30 acres and was 15% contained. Shirley Garzan has more.
It's what the U.S. Forest Service calls the perfect storm for wildfires. Tuesday afternoon, the U.S. Forest Service responded to the Looking Glass fire just off Highway 276. Crews say the fire started from a downed power line in the area. Debris from Helene and drought conditions across the state continue to be first responders' biggest challenge.
We're realizing very quickly when we have these wildfires that it is impacting what the game plan is for being able to contain the fires and then also be able to get those heavy fuels, which are like the downed trees that are burning on the interior of the fire.
The U.S. Forest Service, along with local and out-of-state crews, are tackling this fire from every angle, using choppers with water up in the sky and extinguishers down below. Nearby businesses say they've seen the impacts on nearby trails.
There were people getting turned around from the Looking Glass Trailhead, which is one of the most popular hikes in our area.
The U.S. Forest Service says prolonged drought conditions can dry out plants, downed wood, and debris, making them easier to burn and potentially prolonging wildfire season. As crews continue to work this fire, the Forest Service is urging both residents and visitors to be cautious in the area.
We are asking the public to be very careful when they travel along the 276 corridor because of smoke and emergency vehicles.
Well, this week marks 28 years since a devastating tornado slammed Alabama. Meteorologist Riley Blackwell has more on what's become known as the Oak Grove Birmingham tornado.
A rare, high risk of severe storms was put in place for much of central and north central Alabama. It didn't produce a widespread tornado outbreak, but it did produce a very significant F5 tornado, which devastated western Jefferson County. This is a look right before it hit the town of Oak Grove in western Jefferson County. A well-defined hook echo, a hail core up north near Sayre, Graysville, up Highway 78. Very devastating storm that happened at night. Now, it did reach F5 intensity, killing 11 people in Oak Grove, wiping out the high school before reaching its max wind speed of almost 260 miles per hour in Sylvan Springs, which happens to be my hometown. This tornado skirted just south of Highway 269, once again about 200 yards from my childhood home, killing 4 in Sylvan Springs before continuing just west of downtown Birmingham, killing 14 actually in parts of Edgewater, which is right beside Inslee. But of course, everybody remembers the devastation to Oak Grove High School, which was just about wiped off of the map. And a group of cheerleaders and their instructor were taking shelter in the gym when the gym collapsed on them, and miraculously they survived. But it completely devastated Oak Grove High School. Now, a few more stats about that. In total, the one tornado killed 32 people. It first formed about 7:42 p.m., the first warning coming at 7:45 p.m., and dissipating just west of Birmingham at 8:28. And we already said winds estimated at 260 miles per hour in Sylvan Springs, which is just to the east of Oak Grove. And using today's dollars, it cost about $406.6 million in damages, just that one tornado.
The Artemis II flight director says he believes there will be favorable conditions for tomorrow night's scheduled splashdown near San Diego. He says wind is the biggest concern. Guidelines say they must be under 25 knots. There's also a chance of light showers. The crew spent Wednesday getting ready to return to Earth. Meantime, NASA released new images, stunning images, of the Milky Way and the far side of the moon. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, as the Masters gets underway in Augusta, Georgia, we'll show you the weekend forecast for the event, and we'll take a closer look at the relationship between golf and the weather.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Our Thursday is picking up where Wednesday left off. Look for a lot of sunshine today. It's chilly early in the day. And it's kind of cool during the afternoon as well. Temps will be in the 40s and 50s. There is a front approaching from our west, and that moves through with very little fanfare tonight. You might get a brief shower, particularly in the mountains. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon Friday. At least it's a little bit warmer. Our greatest chance for showers in the Northeast will be late Friday and into Friday night.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. As we head into the afternoon, most of us will enjoy plenty of sunshine. The change comes into the night as a cold front moves in. Some showers are possible. Most of that rain will taper into Friday morning when we're in for another pleasant day. Temperatures will range from the 40s through the 70s. Then as we head into the night, we'll cool down. We'll drop down to the 30s, 40s, and 50s across the region.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Cool conditions for parts of the Carolinas with temperatures running in the upper 60s and low 70s. Warmer across the northern Gulf Coast in the upper 70s and low 80s with mild conditions across central and south Florida. The chance for showers and thunderstorms continues along the east coast of Florida, heading into Thursday with pockets of heavy rainfall possible in areas of Broward and Miami-Dade County. High pressure and control for the rest of the southeast, leaving our sky clear with mild conditions.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Golf's first major of the year teed off this morning in Augusta, Georgia. The start of the Masters is a good chance to look at the close connection between golf, weather, and climate. We begin our coverage with the forecast for the event, which is looking spectacular.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Thigpen, and today we begin and we kick the Masters off here in Augusta, Georgia, and the weather is looking awesome for that. The kickoff of the 90th edition of the Masters by noon today. We're looking at a mix of clouds and sun. We'll be in the 60s, and look at that, folks. This afternoon, lots of sunshine. We'll be going to the mid-70s today, so a very beautiful day for the Masters here in Augusta. Now, the weekend is looking equally as great. Tomorrow, we'll be right around 80 degrees. We'll be in the mid-80s over Saturday and Sunday. Again, with lots of sunshine, so a very beautiful time to get out and enjoy the Masters here in Augusta, Georgia.
And when it comes time to step on the course at major golf events, there's one person many players turn to, a meteorologist. Emily Gracie spoke with a meteorologist who helps keep golf tournaments on track no matter the weather.
You know, I have 2 laptop computers we set up at the course. We also have an electric field meter that we set up. And so using, you know, Doppler radar, lightning detection, and an electric field meter, I mean, we know exactly when it's going to be dangerous at the golf course. So using all that technology together, we can tell the officials, hey, you know, this storm's 25 miles away. It's going to be here in an hour. So let's start getting prepared. And as it gets closer, the advice I give to the officials, hey, now it's time to stop. And so that's when the horns will blow on the golf course, and that signals that it's a dangerous situation. And we start the evacuation process. So
do you ever get blamed or thanked by the players for what's going on?
Oh, I mean, you know, you're a meteorologist, so you know, I mean, we get blamed for everything. It's either too hot, too cold, too windy, too warm. You know, it's always too something, right? Obviously, sunny days, everybody's happy in a good mood because everything's going smoothly. And then obviously, if you throw a thunderstorm in there and you do have to stop play, then obviously we're the blame for that. On the PGA Tour, you know, most of the players and the officials, they know we're doing the best we can do, and we're very accurate at what we do. So I think they respect it. They really do.
Is there any insider information you can give us about being on the ground at the Masters?
I mean, it's a special place to be, and the Masters has their set of rules, and I will say this: they have a very good weather policy in place. They like to suspend play an hour before any storms are going to arrive, so they can get the patrons off the property, because it takes that long to get that many people off the property. If we are expecting weather that day, we may have meetings at 5 in the morning before they even open gates at 7 a.m. So the days are really long. And they're demanding. They're really on top of things. So it's just different. I can't really describe it, but it's different.
So we know how weather can impact the game of golf, but so can climate. And as temperatures rise, there's an impact on the links. Former Charleston meteorologist Sonia Stevens shows in a story first aired in 2022.
Billy Wise has been playing the Charleston Municipal Course since he was a kid.
80s and the 90s, it started getting worse, to where we get a king tide. If we ever had a storm, I mean, you'd shut the course down for a week, at least. They used to close the back nine down, just completely close. They just had the front nine to play.
That changed after renovations at the end of 2020. Wise now plays the course 3 days a week.
We've had 5-inch rains, we've had 7-inch rains. With Hurricane Ian about a month ago, we had a 7.9-inch rain recorded here at the golf course. And we were not closed because of flooding for any of those.
Miller, who is the architect for the course, says all the hard work and money spent on elevating the course was worth it.
Not only has it been a good move in terms of keeping resiliency against these rising tide levels, but it's also created a better environmental situation.
This is just one of the courses that will have to combat issues like sea level rise in the future due to the buildup of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere. Data from Climate Central shows that Patriots Point links will have a frequent flood risk by 2050. An official with the course told me that they've seen water intrusion on the rough of the 18th hole and may do renovations to heighten that area in the future. We also asked officials at Wild Dunes and Kiowa Island, but they didn't want to comment. Climate Central data shows that both will experience more frequent coastal flooding between now and 2050. This data is no surprise to Norman Levine, a geology professor at College of Charleston.
Charleston is one of the world's 8 most vulnerable cities or regions to sea level rise. And so that's going to affect our courses in this area. We are the low country for a reason.
Levine studies imagery like this digital elevation model known as a DEM.
We can get very, very accurate estimates of elevation, very accurate models of flooding, and especially inundation or sea level rise.
Levine says time is of the essence as we battle these rising tides. Miller urges others to be proactive.
Having that long-term vision of understanding what the impacts can be on your golf course over the next 25, 50, 75 years.
Well, weather and climate are not the only factors to consider. Elevation can also impact those long drives. Meteorologist Chase Thompson explains.
Some of the best golfers in the world have trouble calculating yardages here in the mountains. Did you know that the golf ball flies farther in high altitudes?
The air is less dense, so there's less friction to slow the orb's forward motion. Here are some tips to help your game. First, determine the correct yardage from your ball to the green. Then subtract 10% to account for high altitude. That means if your shot is 200 yards, play like you would if it were 180 yards. Always consider the temperature and humidity. Typically, here in the Rockies, the atmosphere is dry and hot in the summer, and that means the ball will travel farther. Take into account your ball flight. If you hit shots with a high trajectory, they will fly farther in high altitudes. And lastly, prepare to be wrong and try not to get frustrated if your calculations don't work out well. Have fun, check the weather, and enjoy hitting your ball farther than you normally do.
Let's now take a closer look at how temperature and wind can impact how your ball moves in the air. To do that, we turn to meteorologist Violet Skybar.
Well, especially when they're driving the ball, the temperature can make a big difference in how far the ball travels, depending on if it's hot or cold outside. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. When it's cooler outside, colder air is denser, making it tougher for the ball to push air molecules out of its way, leading to a shorter shot. Then when it's hot outside, Hot air is less dense, more spread out molecules, creating less drag on the ball, which leads to a longer shot. And by a noticeable distance, you gain about 1 yard for every 10 degrees warmer it is.
And time now for a short break, but first we soar over the Sequoia National Gold Course in North Carolina.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We've got a cold front moving across the Midwest today, so it's going to be a little cooler across the northern plains. That rain will work its way a little farther south as we head into your Friday. The good news is this is going to continue to push its way to the south by Saturday, but still a few scattered showers and thunderstorms trying to pop up for us on Saturday across the central plains and even warmer on Sunday.
Well, a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Looking at our forecast today across the region, starting off with a couple of sprinkles and showers, parts of South Texas, otherwise mild readings and comfortable. In the afternoon, a couple of showers or thunderstorm possible. Not really a big severe weather risk, but it's worth noting. Otherwise, we'll have sunshine, Little Rock around 80 degrees. Friday may see some showers, storms, San Antonio to Corpus Christi through the day, scattered. Otherwise, temperatures 70s and 80s with a little bit more humidity across the region.
Good Thursday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. A storm system will approach the coast of California, bringing chances for rain as well as thunderstorms through parts of Northern California as well as in Oregon. Temperatures will be dropping into upper 60s for San Francisco and through Reno, in the middle 70s in Portland through Boise. We've got a pair of 8s for Las Vegas and 81 degrees in Albuquerque. Temperatures will be warming to about 66 degrees later this afternoon in Seattle and in Spokane.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Here's a savory looking sunrise in upper Michigan this week, and in the Pacific Northwest, a beautiful and powerful looking bald eagle starts its day at daybreak. But in eastern Ohio, a pretty but frosty dandelion, and back to Washington State where these vibrant tulips bask in the sunset.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
And we've been talking a lot about golf, but there is another sporting event this weekend. Meteorologist David Boyd has the forecast for this weekend's races at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Race weekend weather at Bristol Motor Speedway is looking fantastic. Sunny to partly cloudy skies. Highs in the 70s on Friday, near 80s Saturday, mid 80s on Sunday, and comfortable overnight lows in the 40s and 50s thanks to low humidity levels. With all that sunshine, don't forget the sunglasses, the sunscreen, and a hat. The UV index will be in the high category. With the race impact meter, let's go racing. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist David Boyd.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.